Please make me host. From Institute, please make me host. Okay. Okay. Good morning once again. Yesterday we have discussed some basic concepts. What are the different departments in IT organization, and also what are the quality standards organizations will maintain, and what kind of certifications they will go for, and also what are the characteristics we should maintain to get recognized as a good tester. Any questions from previous class? No? Okay. So today's concept, I have already typed the principles to save the time by the time people join. So principles of testing, there are mainly 7 principles are there. There are 7 principles, which please mute your mic. I hope, who is that? Okay. So there are 7 principles are there, which we need to strictly follow in the full time of our testing life cycle. Okay, every aspect in every testing activity, we need to follow this one. So what are the principles? First one, we will see one by one. Testing shows the presence of defects. It's very simple English statement. Testing shows the presence of defects. How many defects are present in the application, that can be figured out or identified only when you do proper testing. So this principle is telling you need to do proper testing or thorough testing in the application, then only you can identify the defects present in the application. Otherwise, application itself cannot expose, okay, these are all the defects I am having, please fix it. Like that, application cannot show to you. Okay, so this principle is very simple and clear statement. It is, we need to do thorough testing in order to identify all the defects. Please mute your mic, Sirisha. Present in the, we need to do thorough testing in order to identify all the defects present in the application. Okay, so this is the principle, first principle. Without doing testing, you cannot identify the defects. That's why you do thorough testing, try to identify as much as possible defects present in the application. If there are no defects, then fine. If they are there, then you need to test those specific areas, and then only you can identify the defects. Okay. Yeah. So next principle is early testing. What is this early testing? Doing testing early stages. What does it mean? In SDLC, normally software development lifecycle is a concept which we will be discussing in later classes. You all know, if you are from computers background, you might have studied SDLC, software development lifecycle, is having certain phases: requirement gathering, analysis, designing, implementation, which is nothing but coding, testing, deployment, maintenance. These are the phases in the software development lifecycle. Normally, testing phase comes after development. It doesn't mean that testing activities will start only once your development is completed. If you are in that assumption, it's wrong. We in the current IT world, based on the different models which we are following in the software development life cycle, testing will be starting along with the development, in parallel to the development. So we don't wait for development to be completed. We will be doing testing along with the development. So then again, coming back to our definition, if you think testing means only opening the application and checking whether it is working or not, it's wrong. That is not the only activity you are doing as a tester. To reach that level, first development need to be completed. Until the development need to be gets completed for specific requirement, what you will be doing as a tester? You will be reading the requirements, looking at the designs, looking at the domain model, looking at analyzing the requirement, finding out different scenarios what you want to test, write the detailed test cases, get the test cases reviewed by business analyst. These are all activities you need to complete by the time developer completes the development of requirement. So all the activities as a tester, each and every activity what you do as a tester, you're watching some video which is related to your application. That is also testing only. You are creating some documents which is required for your project as a testing from the testing process. That is also testing. Every activity as a tester, what you do in the application or in the project, everything is considered as testing only. So what is this principle is telling? Start your testing activities, start the testing activities as early as possible. What is the time? It should be started at least by once the requirements are finalized and prioritized by whom? By the business analyst. So once it is prioritized and finalized and prioritized, then at least you need to start by then. Normally you can involve in the requirements time also, when during the design also you can involve, but most of the time you will be busy with your ongoing development and testing activities, so you may not be interacting with the requirements during the designing phase itself, requirement designing phase itself. You may not interact with the business analyst. So that's why at least once the requirement is gathered and written and finalized and prioritized by the business analyst, we should start our testing activities. What are that? Go through that document, read every line, whether it is correctly mentioned or not. BA missed some information here or what? He mentioned something wrong or what? Or some point is not clear, get the clarification. Some additional cases are missing in the requirement. Give idea to business analyst, take his opinion. Did he miss intentionally or he forgot it? If you help in that way to business analyst, we avoid unnecessary defects or unnecessary issues in the later phases. So what is the benefit? Major benefit of early testing is that the issues can be identified in the early stages, which will be easy and will take less time to fix them. Okay, so consider there is some issue in one of the functionality which is developed today. You are testing, there is one defect which you missed it. Okay, there is something which is mentioned in the requirement wrongly and it is developed wrongly. Okay, and then you also tested wrongly and you missed it. On top of it, there are many features developed in the next cycles and all. But after 2-3 months, when you are testing the same functionality again as part of your repeated testing, that is nothing but regression testing, then you identified, I think this is not correct. Then you reported a defect. BA also agreed. Now fixing the defect is very costly. Why? Because there will be lot of impacts on the other areas of the application. Okay, so that other areas, without impacting those other areas, you need to fix the defect. So the amount of work effort you need to put will be more. But what if you have identified during the first time testing itself? It could have been fixed little bit quickly than the fix what you are giving now. What if you have identified that in the requirement design itself, requirement you are analyzing, then itself you identified, I think something is wrong. Can you you checked with business analyst? I think this is not correct. If you shared your opinion, then business analyst also agreed, and he updated the requirement and informed to the developer. Then no issue at all, because still requirement is in the development phase itself. So you will inform to the developer, there won't be any rework, because it is still being developed. No need to rework or no need to raise defects, no need to fix it, no need to retest it, because you identified in the requirement phase itself that is a mistake. So when you identify the issues in the early stages, it helps us to find give the fix very quickly, and it costs less and it takes less rework effort. Okay, that's the benefit of early testing. Any questions on this principle? No. Okay, moving on. Next principle is exhaustive testing. It is one of the type of testing. So doing this exhaustive testing is impossible, it seems. Exhaustive testing is impossible, it seems. Why? What is exhaustive testing? First of all, let's learn that. Now, there is a functionality, like example, a number field accepts only whole numbers between 18 to 100. Okay. Now, how many tests you need to test this field? Okay. In one of the form, consider it is a registration form or something, some form, there is a field called number. Okay. Lucky number, something. Okay. Field is there. In that field, there is a rule mentioned by business analyst in the requirement. It should accept only whole numbers without any decimals between 18 to 100. That two number should be between 18 or 100 or between that. Okay. So now, how many tests you will do to test this one? Any of you? How many tests you will perform? Please open up. If it is not a brilliant rocket science question, it is a very simple one. Please open your mouth and tell. Okay, moving on. So a number field accepts only whole numbers. That means here we will not sit and test all the numbers like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 till 100. You know the boundaries. That's why you are testing. Even though you want to waste your time, you want to test. You know the boundaries. That's why you are testing. But you are also expected to test less than 18. It should not accept. Greater than 100, number field should not accept. So till which number you will test?
18 to
17, 17, 16. No, 18 to 100 is the acceptance criteria. Less than 18 also you should test. It should not accept. Negative case. Greater than 100 also you need to test. It should not accept. Negative case. So we need to test those things also. 18 to 100 also positive case, accepting or not. Which should not be accepted is less than 18, greater than 100. But till which number you will test? You cannot sit and test 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, like that. You will not test for all the numbers. It is infinite, right? Less than 18 means, greater than 100 means also infinite. Till which number you will test? So checking a functionality,
We can use boundary value analysis, right?
yeah, that we will come to now, that later on, what, how we will test. But here now checking a functionality with all the possible combinations of input values is called exhaustive testing. Okay, but performing that level of testing is not possible. Example is this one. So what you will do in this case, in such cases, we use some techniques to test, to identify and test only minimum possible cases. Okay, what are those techniques? Those are, we will discuss this. It will be covered in the topic called test design techniques. Okay, when you are writing test cases, test identifying test scenarios, what techniques you will follow, we will discuss one concept called test design techniques. As part of that, we will discuss it. Clear, all of you? This one, this principle, any questions? So principle itself is clearly telling, if at all by mistake you tested with some numbers by using this test design techniques, but client has tested with something, one number which is not accepting, surprisingly only that number is not accepting, like 29 is not accepting, remaining all numbers are accepting because customer tested with all the numbers. But we don't want to test it, we don't want to waste our time in such kind of testings. So we tested randomly with some number between 18 to 100, it is accepting, and we assumed that it is going to accept any number between 18 to 100. But customer tested with 29, it is not working for him, it is not accepting, only 29 it is not accepting. It is very surprising, right? We don't know what could be the reason also. So that issue will not be escalated by customer also. It is something, okay, it's very weird, why it is not accepting 29 only, please analyze and get it fixed. That's it, what they can request us. They cannot also tell, oh, what kind of testing you guys done, it is not accepting, 29 is not working, like that they cannot ask. Why? Because it's principle for everyone in the world, in the IT field. Exhaustive testing is impossible. Okay, so that's very clear. In such cases, we consider it as a special case and give the fix by doing deep analysis. Any question from this principle, three principles which we discussed? Moving on. Defects clustering. What is meant by clustering? It's grouping, classifying, categorizing. You can take any meaning. Defects need to be grouped, it seems, or defects need to be classified, it seems. Why? On what basis? So now we will be discussing a lot of details that you need to fill while reporting a defect. Okay, what are those details? We will discuss in the later classes. But while filling those details, some of the details are very much important to classify the defect. What are those things? What are those things? Which area of the application the defect belongs to? During which type of testing the defect is identified? And what is the root cause? Root cause, sorry, root cause of the defect. Root cause means when the defect is identified, developer or tester will tell. If tester can identify, he will only mention, or if developer is fixing, he will mention the root cause. Okay, it is coding issue, code breakage. Earlier it is written like that. During when developing additional requirements in future, that existing code got broken. Like that root cause, like code breakage, something he has given. Like that, otherwise requirement is missing. Or it is something, like test case is not there from testing side. It is not identified earlier. So such kind of root causes will be given. What is the use of this classification? In which environment the defect is identified? What is the environment concept is? We will discuss that in some time. Types of environments. Okay. So in which environment? During QA testing it is identified, or when customer is testing it is identified, or when it is released to the production environment, when end user is using the application, then it is identified. In which environment this defect is identified, that is also we will provide. While reporting a defect, we will provide which area of the application, what is the root cause, during which, what type of testing it is identified, in which environment it is identified. Source of defect is called as source of defect. This one, type of testing. And then this one, root cause. And this one, area path. So these are all fields we fill while logging the defect or while fixing the defect. So what is the use? So all the defects identified in the application in various stages need to be classified based on which area, what is the root cause. Like this, we will be classifying based on this. What is the benefit if you classify? This classification will help in providing the fix for multiple issues at a time if the root cause is same. That is one thing. And also analyzing different aspects will help in analyzing different aspects. What are those aspects? Which area of the application is producing more number of defects? What you will get to know, like if you analyze and you got to know so and so module is producing lot of defects, what is the benefit if you get to know this one? You analyzed and you got to know, what is the use? Anyone? Specific module of the application or specific submodule of the application is producing lot of defects. You got to know by doing analysis on the area path. You get to know that these many defects are coming from so and so module. What is the benefit if you analyze like that? Anyone?
Time consuming save.
No. Anyhow, defects came, right? What we will save there? No, right? We cannot save anything time. But what we can realize, okay, so and so area is causing, it's so buggy and it is producing a lot of defects. Going forward, when we are testing that area, when new requirement is being developed in that area, we need to take more attention than usual. We should not produce these many defects going forward in that module. We will pay more attention, right? We will take more care. That's what we will get to know with this one. Okay. And again, what are the major root causes for those many defects? If you figure out main root causes, like some 2-3 root causes, what is the benefit? Again, we will try to avoid such mistakes going forward. We will not, because of those root causes, we will not produce any defects. We will try to avoid our mistakes. We'll try to rectify our mistakes going forward and avoid producing defects because of such root causes. In the same way, how many defects are leaked to higher environments? Means which are missed by QA team and identified by client side business people or by end user who is using in the production. Then it is kind of negative impact on the testing team. If you miss it and they identified it, they will question us. Management will question us. That is also will be tracked. How many defects are we are linking? In the performance criteria, there will be a parameter for you every tester in every project, every company. Defect leakage. This is called defect leakage. Okay. Leakage means leaked from QA environment to higher environments. That is missed in QA environment and identified by higher environment people. Environment means who is testing the application in UAT environment, who is accessing the application in production environment, pre-production environment. There are different environments. We will discuss that here. It is, I'll just list out first. Dev environment, QA environment, QA or testing environment, and UAT environment. UAT means user acceptance testing environment. Who will use this in this environment? Who will use the application? Customer. Okay. Business people access and test the developed released features, newly released features and bug fixes in this environment. Business people, okay, from client side. Business people from client side access the application, access and test the application and test the newly released features and fixes in this environment. Who is business? I need not to tell who will access the application in QA environment. Who will access? Oh God. It's not
Testers will
available.
access.
Yeah.
Testers.
Thank you. Thank you. What is your name? It is showing as Narayan Patil.
No, Nayana Patil.
Nayana Patil.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So tester here, once in the development environment, developers access the developers run their code and test the application before giving those features Before giving those features to testing, for testing, developer run their code and test the application before giving those features for testing. But that means what? Before deploying that feature to QA environment, they will only run and test in this environment. Okay, developers will be accessing the application in this dev environment. Okay, and QA environment, as she mentioned, Nayani Patel, testing guys, testers will access and test the newly developed features and also the bug fixes in the QA environment, in this environment. This is where you will test and you will raise defects until those defects are fixed and all the requirements are for which you developed for that specific 1 month of period. If all are working fine, then only you will certify and give your opinion, give your sign off to the release and deployment team, saying that our testing is done for this specific period of time. We have tested all these 10 requirements which we newly developed with these many test cases. Everything is working fine. All the bugs which we identified are also fixed. They are working fine now. There are no issues. You can deploy this specific latest code to the UAT environment. Like that, we confirm to the deployment team, then only they deploy the latest code which you tested. Code means, don't think application you are testing, but application how it came because of code, right? That latest code will be deployed to UAT environment. Then people will access the application. How they access? With URL. If it is a web application, they will access with like this, ksrtc.in. Like if it is a production environment or testing environment, this is production where like me, end users are accessing the application. Okay, but if it is still in testing phase, it will not be, URL will not be like this, something else. If it is in dev environment, something else. If it is in UAT environment, something else, URL will be, dedicated URLs will be there. If it is web application, if it is desktop application, which you need to install in the computer and then use it, then you will be having separate servers to install the application and access it. Okay, so like that, for different group of people, different environment will be separately set for using the application. Now, when features are still being tested, when you newly develop some feature, that features are still testing, you are still testing, those features will not appear in UAT environment for the customer. Why? We did not deploy that code to UAT, still in the QA environment itself, until unless I, as a tester, test it and certify it. In that whole 1 month of period, whatever we developed, all the requirements are working fine. Unless I confirm, it will not be deployed or it will not be appearing in the UAT environment. So like that. Now, developer, one requirement he completed and given to testing environment, then developer will immediately start picking the another requirement. When he is developing another requirement, that will not appear in QA environment until unless he developed the code fully and he pushes that code to QA environment. It will not appear here. So like that, so people should not get distracted with the ongoing developments, ongoing testing activities. That's why separate environments will be given for the different group of people. This is only for developers, this is only for testing people, this is only for UAT business side people, business people. That means we will not be able to access. You can access, but testing, mostly this environment is made for business people. You will also, as a tester, having access to this environment, because whenever they report some defects, you need to check why this defect is occurring in this environment. That's why you will also get the access, but actual testing will be done by business people in this environment. Okay, and like that, after this, what customer is happy with the product what we developed, and he wants to use it in the real time. Then he will push it to production environment. Production is nothing but live environment where we are using, right? All end users, like where we are using Facebook, where we are using Gmail, where we are using the Twitter, all these mobile applications or desktop applications, or where we are using this MS Office as a desktop application, everything in production environment, live environment, where targeted end users access the application, end users from real time access the application in this environment for what purpose? For their day-to-day needs. In the day-to-day, now Gmail, why we are using? For communicating with the people, right? So that's we are using in production environment. Sometimes what happens, before giving directly to production, customer doesn't want to take chance. Directly deploying to production is kind of risky. So what they do, they identify some group of people and give only to that specific people to test it. That is called pre-production environment. Okay, pre-production, or we call it as staging environment. Okay. Identified group of people Sirisha, do you have any question?
No, sir.
Okay, please mute your mic. We are getting some disturbance from your end. Identified group of people access the application and test, perform the real-time transactions, to make sure the product is satisfying all the day-to-day needs or not. It will happen what? It will be done before moving any application, before moving any application to live environment. Before moving to production, people will definitely decide some. Now consider very simple example I will give you. Now when government is announcing some function, some scheme, okay, will they announce directly like, okay, they are starting, consider 108 vehicles only. 108 vehicles they have, it is started in Andhra Pradesh first. So they started in AP state in India, throughout the state at a time? No. First they will do some trial run. The trial run is nothing but pre-production or staging environment, you can consider. They do trial run in specific area first. If they face some problems, they try to rectify those problems in that area. They will learn the lessons, and then one fine day they will release it to throughout the state, right? That's way one fine day, once we are fine and get the confidence about the application in this staging environment testing, then one fine day we deploy it to production environment. Okay, that is what we do before going for production. Understand all of you these types of environments? Okay, moving on. So if you don't respond, it will be lost for you. Just I'm requesting you guys, say yes or no. If you don't understand, ask your questions. If you are silent, I will go in my pace, my pace. So it's your choice. Okay, please do respond. If you understand, yes. If you don't understand, no. Okay. So this classification will help in what now? Now this which environment, how many defects are leaked to higher environment? That means whichever defects are identified in UAT, pre-production or production are considered as leakage from testing, guys. We did not identify, those people identified. That's a negative mark on us. Why they identified, why we did not identify? We need to give justification for those defects. Okay. So that's why we need to have less leakage. Otherwise, we will be questioned. So like this, it will help us in analyzing and classifying the defects and rectify our mistakes and avoid such mistakes going forward if you do proper classification for the defects. Clear? Next, pesticide paradox. This is not a direct statement, but I will directly explain. Pesticide paradox is telling whenever you are applying, like in the farming field also, same pesticide again and again, it may not be suitable. You need to change your pesticide depending on the stage of the plant, how much growth it has given. Now, what is the, you are about to cut the crop in another 1 week. At that time, you are sprinkling some pesticides. All will not be same, right? Depending on the, if you talk about farming side, your pesticide will be changing depending on the different situations. What kind of crop you are putting, what kind of land is yours, what kind of what is the stage of the growth now, what is the growth now. Depending on various aspects, you will change your pesticide time to time. In the similar way, because same pesticide cannot heal the problems or cannot remove the pests in all the stages, in all the environments, or for all the plants, it cannot be done, right? So depending on that, taking that example, similarly here, how we are testing our application now, with our test cases. You are identifying well in advance, these are all the cases I will be testing in the application. If you stick to same test cases for testing the application again and again, you may not identify new issues. So what is it telling? This principle suggests not to stick with same set of test cases to test the application features again and again. Test cases need to be upgraded time to time. Means you need to add new test cases for the new features. If at all for the old features also you felt something you have not covered, when you are initially analyzing, you are identified 10 test cases. But now when you are, once you get the experience, you felt like, okay, I'm not covering these cases. Let me write. No one can stop you in writing new test cases at any phase. Okay. Test cases need to be upgraded time to time to cover all the corners of the application. Don't understand like corners means like house we will be having corners for applications. That doesn't mean. Now all the minute areas also you are covering as part of your test case. All the corners of the application and identify, and it helps in identifying the new issues if at all present. Okay, so that's the principle is suggesting. Don't stick to same set of test cases to test the application again and again. Please upgrade your test cases time to time. And even The same farming example, this principle is also covered. If your plant variety is wheat, pesticide A may not work. You need to go for pesticide C. If your plant variety is cotton, pesticide C may not work out. You need to go for pesticide A. So that is also depending on the plant and crop, and also what is your land and what type of land you are using. All those things also matters. So that's what here also telling. Testing is changing depending on the context of the application. Okay, so testing may be, the way of testing must vary depending on the context of the application being tested. What is the context here? The context can be what is that? Anyone? Type of application. The type of plant is in the farming example. Type of plant is nothing but what type of application. We have different types of applications. Okay. Types of application. That's what I was telling. We will list out those type of applications and discuss later. We have standalone applications. What is that? Standalone application means desktop applications. We also call it them as desktop applications. What are those things? The applications which will be installed in computer and used. What are those things? Examples, can anyone tell? MS Office. What else? Notepad, calculator, whatever you see, etc. here. Okay. See, whatever you are seeing here, this PD, Adobe Acrobat, Alarm, and calculator, calendar, Zoom, these are all desktop applications. Okay, which are you need to install and in your computer, then only you can use it. That is one type of application. In the similar way, you know mobile applications. I need not to tell. The applications which will be installed and used from where? Mobile devices. Phones, tabs, etc. Okay. What are the examples? Anyone? Your WhatsApp and PhonePe, GPay, Candy Crush, etc. These are all apps which you are installing and using, right? Such kind of applications also your project might be developing. Then you need to have mobile device, or you need to have some setup in your computer which will be mocking like mobile environment. You need to install the app in your computer on your software or in the mobile device and test. Mostly companies will give physical devices in your project, then you need to install the application whenever new features are developed, and you need to test in the mobile application, mobile device. Such applications also will be there. And again, web applications. This everyone knows very familiarly. Web applications, what are that? In that also web-based applications and web service-based applications. Web service-based applications, we need to take some time to discuss, which is nothing but APIs, okay, application programming interfaces. Understand? We will discuss this later on. But web-based applications, the applications which are accessed with their URL. What is URL? Unified Resource locator. Using their URL, what is that? www.facebook.com, www.gmail.com, that is URL. Okay, using their URL, accessed with their URL from any browser. What are the types of browsers we have? Browser means what? Types of browsers, can anyone tell, please? What are the browsers, you know? Okay.
Chrome, Google Chrome.
Chrome,
Yeah,
Mozilla,
Chrome,
Firefox,
Firefox, Mozilla, Firefox is same,
Firefox.
okay. Firefox,
Internet Explorer.
Internet Explorer is from with Windows 10, it has been removed, okay, it is not there. Edge, it is Microsoft Edge now, and you have Safari, Opera, etc. I don't want to list out everything. Safari is from for iOS devices, and remaining all will work in any kind of environment. Okay, so like this, different browsers are there. Now, when you have different browsers, you need to also make sure customer will tell, I want my application to work in all the browsers, or at least Chrome and Safari, both the browsers, it should work properly. Like that, they said, then you need to test the application in both the browsers. That is called browser compatibility testing. We will discuss them in future, but web applications, like what are the examples for web applications? www.gmail.com, w3schools, yeah, yahoo.com, w3schools.com. Like this, websites are called web applications. Okay, web-based applications especially. These applications will have UI, will have proper user in UI means what? User interface. Okay, why I am talking user interface specifically for web-based applications? Even mobile applications also will have user interface to see and test. Even standalone applications also will have user interface to see and test. But why I am mentioning here explicitly? Because web service based applications will not have any user interface to see and test. You cannot see them. Then how can I test it? Then you need to use some other tools. Then only you can test it. How? We will see later on. These applications will have proper UI to access and see and test the application features. But these applications don't contain have any user interface to see and test. These, they can be tested, otherwise we need to use some special tools to test the web services, which are also called as APIs. What are those tools? Examples: Postman, Fiddler, Soap UI. You might have heard these tools. Okay, these tools we need to use and configure them using this. So this will be in detailed covered in the API testing by the next trainer in the API testing and also database testing. It will be in depth explained by that other trainer. Okay, so how we will test them. So these web service based applications will be running these applications. These are also called web applications only. But will be running behind the other type of applications. Means it will be running behind standalone or web-based or mobile applications. to provide some services by performing certain actions. They are only code, okay? Set of code code lines will be there. That lines will be called whenever we call that piece of code. It will run that code and it will perform certain actions and give the response to us. Very best example for make you understand. In WhatsApp, everyone we are sharing current location, right? Where you are standing.
Yes.
So now WhatsApp is developed by whom? Facebook. Okay. Consider now it was from some other company. It is acquired by Facebook. Now it is with Facebook. But location which you are sharing, and once you share, it will show map, right? That belongs to whom? It is
Google,
not belongs to. It is belongs to Google. How Google, like Facebook has purchased Google or what? No, they took one service. They purchased some service from Google Maps. What is that service? Capturing the current geo coordinates. Current location can be captured. As soon as you hit that option, share current location option, you click on in your WhatsApp application. Until you click, it is the functionality of WhatsApp. Once you click, immediately what your WhatsApp application will do, will call this API called Google API geocode, current location capturing Google API will be there, right? That API will be called. API means application programming interface. That API will be running behind and will capture the current location where you are standing and will share that as a response to WhatsApp. Then WhatsApp will hold that response and send it in to their customers, their other recipient. It will send it as a map. Okay, so response is coming from where? Google API. That response is being captured by WhatsApp and shared. So such kind of services which are running behind are considered as web services. In your project also, for your application, sometimes your company also may develop some APIs which will be running behind. Don't think every time API means Google Maps or something. Such kind of which will be running behind to do some activity behind. Such APIs also you need to test by using Postman or Fiddler or SoapUI. There are different types of services, REST services, SOAP services, and it will be, you need to send the request in either in XML or JSON format, and response also will be coming like that. And different requests will be there like put, get. This and all will be in detail explained by API testing core in the course, API testing course. So please wait for that one. You will get thorough knowledge on that in testing APIs. Okay, so these are the different types of applications which you may get chance to test in your project. Understand? Any question on these types of applications?
No.
Okay. If no, then coming to our principle again. So depending on your what type of application you are testing, your way of testing will change. The way of testing must vary depending on the context of the application being tested. What is the context here? It can be type of application, or domain of the application. What is domain? Anyone? Domain. Healthcare, banking, e-commerce. Sorry, someone said something.
Finance.
Etc. Any which domain, which area you are targeting? This is banking, or banking applications cannot be tested same as Flipkart application, right? Flipkart application cannot be tested same as your hospital related or health insurance related websites, right? Health insurance related websites cannot be tested same as travel websites, right? Cannot be tested. You need to change your approach, your way of thinking, way of analyzing, because requirements will be altogether different. You need to analyze differently and test differently. That's what this principle is telling. Don't follow same blind approach to test all the applications. It can be, you need to follow a different approach, different way of thinking, different way of analysis for mobile applications or standalone applications. Or if you are testing web applications only, but one is banking, one is e-commerce. E-commerce means Flipkart. These things are called retail market websites. Okay, so such websites cannot be tested in a similar way. So that's why your context is going to decide what way you are going to test. Okay, you will be analyzing also differently. That's this principle is telling. Any questions? If not, the last principle, very simple one, absence of defects fallacy. Fallacy means incorrect conclusion or wrong conclusion. You can consider it as absence of defects. There are no defects. Wrong conclusion. Can anyone tell what is this principle is telling? Don't ever come to an early conclusion saying that whatever I have tested thoroughly and there are no defects at all in the application. If you have time, you still have time before the release. Think of different possibilities, different cases that were not covered earlier. And test them. But test them instead of closing the testing very early. Understand? So if you have time, don't come, you don't feel like, okay, tomorrow, after next Monday, you need to release. Okay. Next Monday, you need to release the application, whatever you developed in that 1 month of period, you need to release on 6th. Today itself, you are telling, I'm done with my testing. I tested twice, thrice. There are no defects at all. I'm stopping my testing today itself. Don't do that, because you have one more day time. At least on Monday, you can confirm, yes, we are done with our testing. This is, we are ending. Because Monday you have to close. Why? Because you reach the release date. You have to release on time to the customer. But early, very early to the release date, you should not close like, I am done. My testing team will not spend any more time on it again and again. We are done with our testing. There are no defects at all. If you are giving such statements, that is wrong. That's what it is telling. Okay. So if you still have time, please do some other testing. Think something differently. Okay. That's what it is telling. Clear? All of you?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. No. Okay, then that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining, and please join sharp at 8 o'clock every day, so that you will not be missing in the beginning of the class. And also we also need not to wait for people to join. So please join 8 o'clock sharp. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Have a nice rest of the day. Speak to you tomorrow.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.